Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Medical Monday or a Medical Record Monday. That's what I call it. And brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? Our goal here, as always, is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experiences and insights as defense or plaintiff attorneys. It's me. I am still your host, Lisa Wade, legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants. Let's see. Oh, I have to find Wade Nurse Consultants. Pardon me. There we are. And I am also not just the owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, but I am the creator of the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is our private community in LinkedIn. And that is the place where we get all our wonderful attorney guests. That's where we got our guests today. We'll be getting over there, speaking to them, and finding out who they are very shortly. But first, we always use this as an opportunity to get to know one another. We're going to do that with our guest, but we want to find out who is visiting us live today. If anybody is out there visiting us live, if you are uh, an attorney, put an A in that chat so we can see you and say hello. If you are a paralegal, put a P. But if you are part of a wonderful group, Women Owned Law, a group that is near and dear to my heart, put a W in that chat so we can see you. Women Owned Law is a groundbreaking group created to connect and advance women legal entrepreneurs. So visit us at womenownedlaw.org if that is the kind of group that you can get behind. Now, we are going to introduce our guest for today. Christopher Steuart is currently a trial attorney with the Lawrence Kahn Law Group, representing people injured through the negligence of others. Clients may have been injured through medical malpractice, automobile collision, or slip and falls. He is also an author with Cengage Learning since January 2003 on the Guide to Computer Forensics and Investigations and e-discovery, an introduction to digital evidence. He was also in private practice with the law office of Christopher K. Steuart, admitted to the bar of Washington State, the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington, and the United States Courts of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. From 2007 to 2013, he was also an instructor with the University of Washington, teaching in the Digital Forensics Certification Program. That's a lot, but let me bring you out now. Here you go.
Hi.
Hello, Christopher Steuart.
Yeah.
You've
So
been very busy.
I like to do different things. Do anything for 10 or 15 years. It's time to look maybe at doing something else. So
Nice.
I'm always thinking about doing something else. So,
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm so glad you have time to be with us today so we can get to know you a little bit more. We're going to find out all about how medical records pops up during your cases. But first, we want to get to know a little even more about you. We want to know what brought you into this area of law, what made you become an attorney, and you can go all the way back to the crib or the playground, wherever it started.
well, it was really kind of in the 1980s when I went to law school, but I was in the Army, in Army Reserve at that time, and so I didn't take the bar for several years. And then when I did take the bar, it was just before I was going to look at retiring and from the reserves. I've already retired multiple times and moved on to something else. But the physical demands of military service and commanding units and that kind of thing was such that I didn't think I was going to be able to do that much longer. So I transitioned into practicing law. I had a general practice, and I ran into another attorney who needed some personal assistance with a guardianship case, and he liked my work, and he invited me into his pharmaceutical and medical malpractice practice, and then I moved from there to the Lawrence Kahn Law Group, and I personally only do medical malpractice. Okay,
Ooh.
so I don't, as a routine matter, handle other cases. I mean, I would talk to a client, but I would get them routed to an appropriate attorney in our firm. So, but I pretty much am the front end on medical malpractice.
Oh, boy, you've packed a lot into a lifetime so far. So
Yeah, well, I hope to pack a little more in too.
excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Now on to your cases. How do you get the cases that you work on, and how do you decide if they are viable cases or if you should refer them out, or
Well,
how what's that decision process?
well, they come in and they're, a receptionist takes the call. Just like this afternoon when the receptionist picked up the call, that was Isabel, um, and they do a quick intake, kind of get the basic frame, who this person is, where the injury occurred, uh, how it occurred, that kind of thing. So they have a template that they fill that information in. Then they typically route that person to me if it's a medical malpractice case, and I talk with the client. Um, the I confirmed the identity, because he's emailed me that intake sheet, so I know, name and phone number, and I confirm that information first, because if we want to get back to him, uh, we need that information just to be sure. So I check it. That's a double check on that. Then I usually ask the client to tell me their story, tell me what happened, and let them free form tell that story. I'll willing to give 15 to 30 minutes to that, and maybe a few questions to kind of fill in something that I think was significant. Uh, and then if I think it has some potential, well, actually, even if I don't think it has potential, I tell the client, get all the records, go back at least 5 years.
Mm.
That even if we don't take the case, another lawyer's going to want to look at those records too. Get the records, get them in an electronic format, because it'll be on a CD or a file, and you can't lose a page or write
Yeah.
on something and screw it up. So get an electronic format. And personally, I prefer to read electronic documents. I find paper anathema, probably from my early days when I worked in the Forest Service, and we were trying to protect trees from fires.
Yes.
Uh,
Save a tree.
which
Get a digital file.
I also did that back in my 20s. So, I tell them, get the records, and not just of that particular practitioner or institution, but all of their medical records. Because, there may be something relevant in some other record that may tell us that this is either a good case or a bad case. Person has a heart attack, but his primary care physician, he has a heart attack in the hospital, but his primary care physician has been treating him for a heart condition. Well, now you've got maybe an issue and something you got to think about and look at. Is this, chronic condition, and eventually the guy's going to have a heart attack. But because as often as not, and I'll tell you, 3/4, 9/10 of our cases, it's a bad outcome versus bad medical practice. Uh,
Mm.
the truth is, most doctors are fairly competent. They can make mistakes, but a mistake is not necessarily malpractice, and the person dying isn't even necessarily malpractice. We
Mm.
are all going to die. It is the inherent nature of having a body, and I've had one for 71 years. I know that the end is closer than the beginning. So just because the person dies, that's not malpractice. There has to be something that deviated from what's called the standard of care. And we need to look at records to see that. So that's the
Mm.
first stage. If they get records and get them to us, I take a look at those records. And I may go back and forth between two and three, four different sets of records because uh, that's what's there. If I have a little slur here every once in a while, I had a stroke 2 weeks ago. Um,
Well, you're looking
I'm
good.
doing okay. It was in my speech center. That's why I'm saying a little slur. I get tired. My voice gets tired. But anyway, that wasn't malpractice, by the way. Okay. That was
Okay.
just bad luck. Um, anyway, so we get records, we look through them. Then, if we really think it's something that's significant and serious and a breach of the standard of care, at least maybe that's in there. We have a vast number of doctors. I probably have 1,000 doctors in my LinkedIn account.
Ah.
It's principally what I look for is doctors of various types. Uh, we would identify, and we have other services, but that's one of the things I look at is we would identify a practitioner who had expertise in the particular area of medicine that seems to be the central issue in if it was malpractice,
Hmm.
and we route the records to them, and we ask them to review it and see if they think that there was a breach of the standard of care or whether the person did meet the standard of care. And that's really kind of our decider. Now, the next piece in this whole thing is, are there damages?
Ah.
Um, and that's more challenging, in some ways subjective. Of course, if there's additional medical costs that resulted from the malpractice, those are easily identifiable. Lost income because the person was out of work for however much time, that's identifiable, usually pretty well workable from tax returns and income statements and those kinds of things. The challenge is general damages, the kinds of damages, pain, suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, all of those kinds of things. Now, that can be tough, but it can be huge, not just, it's tough to figure out, but it can be a huge amount of money. And especially in a case where the person is severely injured, but not
Mm.
killed. And they're actually going to have to live with this maybe for 20, 30, 40, 50 years,
Mm.
this malpractice. And those damages can be huge in the tens of millions of dollars.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much the end of the line. And then I would, if we found malpractice and our expert is confirming it, we would find appropriate other experts to fill in gaps,
Ah.
to make sure that we cover the primary care physician and we cover the nursing practice and whatever else needs to be covered. But let's say you started with an oncologist and he said, oh, he should have diagnosed that a year earlier. But
Ah.
we'd still have the primary care physician in, and we'd still have a nurse, and there'd be other people who would have been involved in that person's treatment. So we want to cover those areas and not be able to have a defendant. We do plaintiff work.
Mm.
Uh, uh, Basically find a way to cut into the case on that issue. Uh,
Mhm.
so, anyways, then I draft a complaint. I start drafting a complaint.
Mhm. All right. Well, it still sounds like you have a process for
Yeah.
managing those medical records when they come your way. And
Now,
what do oh,
I
go ahead.
should add, we sometimes do, if they're very complex records, there are cases that we've had where there were 3,000, 4,000 pages of records.
Mhm.
And trying to keep that in a chronological order of what happened, because you're jumping between three or four or five different practitioners.
Mhm.
We got a medcron prepared. Uh,
Excellent.
Now, if it's 200 or 300 pages and it's, two practitioners, we can do that ourselves. But
Okay.
we like to send this out to a nursing practice group to do a medcron on the records.
All
And
right. Excellent. Excellent. Now, what do you find the most frustrating or puzzling or bothersome when managing those medical records yourself?
oh, well, it's not bad if it's only one or two sets of records, because they actually run, the latest are on top and the older are at the bottom generally.
Mhm.
But repetitiveness, that
Ah,
the same page you will find it three, four, five, six times
yeah.
uh, in the record. Anyway, and that will expand the size of the record by, maybe almost double the size of some medical records from what they would have been if they had been really pristinely laid out. But
Mm.
it's kind of like they jumble it, but that's manageable. You know,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it is
it's
annoying.
yeah, it is annoying to see the same page three or four times.
Definitely.
In a 250 page record, and you see that, and not just in one page that shows up that way, but there's three, four, five of those kinds of pages. So,
Yeah, I understand. Well, you have lots and lots of experience for sure. And you have given a lot of good information and wonderful advice. So I'm just asking, is there any more that you have left to share with newbie attorneys or even veterans attorneys when they are working on these cases and deciding if they should take those cases?
well, what I would say is I'm actually always happy to talk with other attorneys. They're generally pretty rational. The really difficult conversations are with clients that you have to reject.
Mm,
Uh, but attorneys understand why you might reject a case.
mm,
There's the damages issue. There's no clear breach of the standard of care. So, if uh, an attorney has a case in particular, or a paralegal, or somebody who's a professional handling the case, I actually enjoy talking with them about cases, because that brings to mind for me things that I should be thinking about. Even if I don't have an immediate answer, sometimes just the fact that somebody's asking a question
mm.
will make me ask a question. When I was doing family law, I started out with like a 15-page questionnaire for the incoming client. By the time I was no longer doing family law, it was 34 pages long, because I learned all the questions I should have asked that I didn't. And then I added them in. So I keep adding questions. And the best place to get those often is from other attorneys.
All right. Well, being a mentor for other attorneys, new and veterans, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it has been wonderful having you here.
Well,
We're going to
enjoyed it.
transition into some questions and answers, a little Q&A, if you're ready to answer questions that some of our viewers may have today. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm a connoisseur of good questions.
Oh, well, excellent. Well, let's give everybody that's watching a chance to get their questions together and then get ready to put them inside the comments box or the chat box. And Chris is going to answer those questions for you.
Well,
And
maybe try.
well, he'll try. Yes, I think your try is better than some other dues. So it's okay. All right. Well, while we're waiting for folks to get their questions together, it's time for what I call a small sponsor break, where I
Okay.
tell everybody a little about Wade Nurse Consultants and what we do. Now, without a review and summary of medical records, it could be harder to know as an injury attorney if you should take that case. And I at Wade Nurse Consultants can give you a 1 to 2 page synopsis and opinion regarding the merits of those medical cases, using my 30 plus years of nursing experience to make quick work of those medical case screenings. So if you're watching this and you already have your own legal nurse consultant or nurse paralegal on the payroll, this isn't for you. But if you have a large backlog of medical cases to get screened, then this is what you need to do. Right now, we are offering a free 20-minute medical record strategy call at Wade Nurse Consultants to help you hone an efficient, timely, and cost-effective routine around your medical cases. And what you need to do is inside this description box of this YouTube channel, you'll find a link that you can click and schedule a chat, schedule a consultation. Now, it's time to get back to Chris and a little Q&A. Are you ready, Chris? Let's take a peek. Are there any questions yet?
I don't see.
Not yet. Okay. I know. Well, sometimes people are watching on the replay, but I have a solution for that if you're ready to hear it, Chris.
I'm ready to hear it.
Well, this is what I do. I put your contact information inside the description box of this YouTube channel. So even if people are catching us on the replay and they have a question for you, they can reach out to you themselves. How's that sound?
That sounds great. And, put the information out and let them give me a call.
Excellent. Excellent. It's been wonderful having you on today. I definitely appreciate it. And the big question is, will you come back again?
Yeah, I anticipate continuing to practice for maybe about another year. But, even after I retire, actually keep my license. You never know when there's something interesting that shows up that you could do something with. So I'll keep that going.
Well, you don't really retire. You just move on to a new and interesting thing.
Yeah, well, I want to have a little more fun. And, the three things I've always, said you should focus on: make more money, have more fun, and there's a third one somewhere out there.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's a lot you can do after you make money and have fun. So, yay.
Yes.
Well, Chris, it's been wonderful having you. I hope you come back again. But I think we're at the end of our show. And this is the time I remind folks to like this YouTube channel, like us and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can know when we are going to be back. And I'll tell you exactly when that is. It is every Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have Chris's number or contact information inside the description box of this YouTube channel. Reach out to him. If you have any legal nurse consulting questions, catch me at my email, lisa@wadenurseconsultants.com. But we'll catch you next week for a brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.